Welcome to the Plant Spirit Podcast on connecting with plant consciousness and the healing wisdom of nature. If you'd like to learn more on how to communicate directly with plants, visit www.learnplantlanguage.com to register for the free workshop. That's www.learnplantlanguage.com. I'm your host, Sara Artemisia, and I'm deeply honored to introduce our next guest to the show today. Nana Xochiketzalli is a Curanderismo practitioner, practicing indigenous ancestral medicine and healing on Wiyot land. She is of mixed ancestry and offers traditional limpias, flower limpias, and soul retrieval limpias at her folk healing center in Eureka, California. Xochiketzalli is an AjQ'ij, spiritual timekeeper, and guardian of the CholQ'ij Mayan Calendar. This work was passed on to her after years of training and a decade of working with her maestras, Nana Tomasa and Nana Sebastiána, who are K'iche Mayan Curanderas. Xochiketzalli teaches and is a maestra of ancestral medicine and curanderismo through classes, healings, and ceremonies. So Xochiketzalli, thank you so much for being here. Such an honor and delight, and I'm excited for our conversation today.
Thank you so much, Sara. It's an honor to be here as well.
I love your deep practice and connection with healing in so many different ways, and would love to just start with this understanding of really what is curanderismo?
Well, that can be such a easy question to ask, but I often definition from textbooks, from the literature that's out there, and the more and more years I work, the more that it's a big line of work that's not easy to answer. And so this is how I define it from my heart and my practice. And so it's really indigenous red medicine. Curanderismo has its roots more in Mexico, but there's also practices of curanderismo in different places in Central America down to South America. But the reality is that it's ancestral medicine. It's healing practices of our ancestors. And so in a way, it exists all over the world. One of those definitions from books, it talks about how its roots is from Mexico. It has a little mixture of African ancestral medicine combined to even European roots. And so that's why I go back to the explanation that it's our ancestral medicine that our ancestors practiced all over the world. But the roots of actually curanderismo goes to that I work with, the practice I work with is both Mexica and Mayan curanderismo. And so Mexica is more the correct term for Aztecs, the Nahua people around Mexico City, part of my ancestry. And then the Maya K'iche and teachers and curanderas that I work with. And so it's a combination, these both teachings and practices that I've learned from the last pretty much 13 years that I've been studying. Let me, because it makes things easier, break down the word curanderismo for those who are listening who've never heard of this word. We have the curar in Spanish, which translates to cure or to heal. And then we have curandera or curandero, and it's pretty much a medicine man or medicine woman. And I can get into that later. I always, in my practicas, my talks, share how that word is really being thrown around these days. And it's a title that's given after decades from your community. And then we have the root ism, or ismo in Spanish. And so it means the study of the practice to heal, pretty much.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, so important, that aspect of the many years of apprenticing that go into becoming a curandera or curandero. And I love how you were sharing as well this aspect of the ancestral roots all around the world and the ancestral medicine all around the world. And I'd love to hear a bit more about what does your practice look like that's involved in that.
Okay. Yeah, in my practice, I have to honor first my teachers, Nana Tomasa and Sebastiána, two of my main teachers who are from the K'iche Mayan nation. Also, I want to honor my madrina and teacher, spiritual teacher, Nana Silvia Mayawel, that worked with in the Mexica tradition. And so in these traditions, I have been working and practicing at this path and these healing traditions for about 13 years now. And so in this path with the elders, that's considered a baby still. I'm just completing my first cycle of 13, which is we move through cycles of 13 in this tradition. But I want to acknowledge that I'm still a baby upon this path. And so I want to say that as well, to share that it's not a weekend workshop to be certified as a curandera. It's not a year of studying. It's a lifetime's worth of work. And so I've studied for over the last decade with my teachers, with them going to Guatemala, bringing them here, with my teacher going to Minnesota every year, studying with the different indigenous peoples around here, to the Wiyot people here, to the different Lakota people I work with, to honor all the different ceremonies and people I work with. It's helped me create my practice of who I am and what I am to offer. And that's something that you have to feel in your heart. Often today we want to offer what someone else is offering, what looks cool, what you learned in that master class. And yet you have to really sit down and honor what you are here to bring to this earth. And so my practice is always changing. It's always changing because I'm always changing. I'm always looking within myself to look further within my sustos, my traumas, to dig deeper into my shadow sides and really acknowledge how I need to better myself, how I need to continue healing. Healing is not linear. We were talking about this earlier, Sara, and so it's continuous. And so my practice, what does it look like? It's outdoors. I work less in the winter, which is hard because that's when most people want to come see me. They struggle up here in Humboldt with that winter weather. And yet I also need to take time each year for myself. As a healer, it's very essential to take that time, and it's very easy not to with people needing your help. And so winter, I traditionally don't work. And part of that is that I work from a yurt studio, and also a lot of the healings and ceremonies I do are all outside. And so physically, it's allowing me not to take that break each year. But during the spring, which is the time of rebirth in the Mexica tradition, the summer, the time of growth, and the fall, the time of death, those are great times to do this work. And so I offer limpias, these traditional cleansings that I've learned through my teachers and my ancestors, using plants. Of course, I always offer plant medicine and such as offering tea. And again, when I say plant medicine, I don't use that in the term of hallucinogenic plant medicine being used in ceremonies these days. Plant medicine is any plant that you're using for your healing. And so for tea, I make, my own medicine, but really I use the plant medicine for smudging, for burning, for limpias. It's for cleansing and purifying the soul. And also in limpias, I use them topically in sweeping energy. And so it's really working with the plant spirit.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit more about the limpias. I love working with plants in this way. And, you were talking earlier as well before this about there's multitudes of ways to work with limpias. And so for folks who have never heard of this term before, what is a limpia and specifically what is a plant limpia?
Mm-hmm. So a limpia, limpiar, a verb is to clean, and limpia is clean, and translating it directly from Spanish, but it's a cleanse. I like to go back to what a lot of the people here in the US are more associated with, some of the more traditions from our people here, and that's smudging. So the smudging ceremony, a smudge down. It's the idea of taking plant medicine like sage. It's always, I suggest you use what you have local to you or grow it in your own garden because plants are being over harvested. But I use a lot of copali from Mexico and in my limpias. And so it's burning those plant medicines to purify and cleanse the space before I sit down with a client and have a practica, which is a heart-to-heart talk. It's basically what we're doing, Sarah, right now. But it's a place, the plants help open up people up. So sometimes I get clients whose hearts are so rigid, they cannot share. They do not know how to share. They do not know how to cry. And so that copali, that copal medicine can really open up the senses. It can help us connect to our ancestors. It's a bridge. Just as a candle lit in Curanderismo is a bridge, it's a doorway to the spirit realms. And so that copali can also do that. At the same time, these burning plants are an offering. They're a payment to the ancestors. And so it's seen as food. Our ancestors on the other side are literally, they're waiting for us to call on them, to work with them, and they're hungry. And how do we feed them? By giving these plant medicines. It entices them. The copal, the aroma of the sweet burning copal or sage entices them. And so I've had people mistakenly ask me, like, sage is to clear the space of negative spirits. I'm like, yes, but at the same time, it invites spirits. It works in both ways. And so that's how these burning medicines work to open up that space. And then for a limpia, well, limpias are the main healing, I guess I'll use that word, modality in the world of curanderismo. Yet it varies with every practitioner on what they want to use in the limpia, how they do it, how they were taught, how their ancestors are guiding them. And so one form of a limpia is using plants in a barrida. And so barrida in Spanish translates to sweet. It's the idea of moving heavy aires or energies out of the body, sweeping from the head down. And so in limpias, you can use copal, you can use tobacco puro, smoke. You can see some curanderos use alcohol where they're spitting it almost. It's not spitting it, but blowing it on the patient. You can use animal wings. You can use plants. And so it's what you're mentioning is the idea of using the plants in the barrida. And so with limpia work, when I talk about this, I have to really be careful because a lot of people want to listen to this and then try things at home. And I don't necessarily discourage you from trying it at home on yourself, these things, but starting a practice on your own is definitely, this work is through oral tradition. This work you learned through years and years with your maestras or maestros. And so yet the barrida is a practice that I'm not going to I don't often give the detailed steps because that's not how I teach, but it is something that I encourage you to learn to do on your own because we have that potential. And yet the other instruments I talked about aren't necessarily a practice you learn to do on yourself or others without further instructions. But it's, again, when you harvest say rosemary, again with barridas, you use the plants that are growing near you, that are in your garden. Those plants are there for a purpose. They're wanting to help you. And so you can make tea with them if you know about the plant properties, or you can use it topically in this barrida, and that's that sweeping ritual. There are traditional barrida plants that are used in different regions, but one that I really like to suggest always, that's a very great plant ally. She's gentle, and she's a great plant that's grown, I believe, most places in the world today. I might be wrong on that, but is rosemary. And so rosemary, you would take a nice long branch and you start from your head and you sweep down your body, and you want to get the forearms, all the body parts, the back of the arms, the thighs, the inner, outer, the belly, and there's certain regions in curanderismo that you would want to focus on. And so it's the idea of just sweeping with that branch down your body. And as you do this, you have to really, try to visualize the heaviness, the negativities, the aires that you picked up throughout your day, throughout the weeks or months, or even years, moving into that branch. And then you sweep it all down and always move down. And you sweep it down towards the earth. And so there's a deity in the Mexica tradition named Tlazolteo. And she's one of the female deities who really come to guide us in the limpia rite. And she often is seen as portrayed as having a black mouth, and yet the rest of her skin isn't black. And it's the idea that she's the eater of excrement. And so she literally is an embodiment of the earth. And she eats all the dirt, the excess, the contamination of human beings and consumes it for us. And she recycles it and then pours it back into the earth. And so some people might be like, oh, I don't want to, give all my heaviness, all my negativities, impurities, all the stuff I picked up back to the earth. I love her. But our all-pervading mother knows how to recycle and re-nourish the ground below us, and she's there for us. But before you do any of this work, you want to give a payment, an offering of exchange to the spirits, to the ancestors, to petition to Creator God, whatever name you use, source that you believe in, to give some type of ritual payment, acknowledging that you want to heal yourself and that you need to offer this medicine. Say it's a pinch of tobacco, which a lot of the First Nations use up here in the north. It could be a payment of cacao and flowers, which we use more down in Mexico, Guatemala, and you feed it to the earth, and then you do the limpia right afterwards, the barrida. So that's, I will, there's so much more I could share, but I don't feel comfortable going to detail about it because it's, everyone is listening, and you need more teachings onto how to really properly do this on yourself. But that's a basic, trying to share an image for everyone to visualize.
Thank you so much for sharing that. Yes, I love how you clearly honor the lineages and the ways of healing, of doing this sort of thing. And love how you were just sharing about the transmutation of energy, how the earth knows how to do this, and also that aspect of the offerings or ofrendas and how this is so important. I was curious if you could tell us a little bit more about that. Like, why are the offerings, the ofrendas, why are they so important in anytime we do any kind of healing practice, or particularly for folks who are practitioners? Like, why could this be a really beneficial thing when we're working with clients or patients?
Yes, of course, I would love to. So the ofrenda goes back to most indigenous cultures all around the world. Once again, it's this idea that the earth needs to be paid for everything she provides us. And so for those who don't have a connection to our earth mother, to Tonantzin, they would be like, what are you talking about? Pay for the earth? What's she giving me? Well, she's giving you clear air to breathe, water to drink, warm earth to live on, and fire to warm our homes. So all the elements she provides for us to take care of ourselves, that we take advantage of today, that we overlook because we are so advanced and civilized today that we've forgotten that our Mother Earth provides everything. And ultimately, in the cosmovisions, in the cosmology of the Mexican Maya, it's very understood that creator is in charge. These deities are in charge. And if they are not happy with us, if we forget to give payment, the world could actually stop rotating. And that's a very old world view to look at it. But another way to look at it is that when we forget to give payment as a civilization to the earth, in honor of the earth, that disease and destruction can come upon us. And so something like the last few years of this disease that's been havocing over the earth is, in a way, because we've forgotten to give payment. That's one way to look at it. And so the payment can be simple, again, as a pinch of tobacco, to these very traditional ceremonies of way of honoring the earth, acknowledging that we are given so much that when we want to pray and petition or ask for something, we should give something beforehand so that the spirits can be appeased, so that they can see our humility, see our love, that we're not coming to just take more and more, which we already do, but that we're going to give back.
Yeah, there's so much in that I hear about, really this common theme of what does it mean to be in right relationship, to be in a reciprocal relationship with the forces and the earth and the healing energies that we're really working with. It's so important to be in a good reciprocal way with them. And yeah, I'd love to actually hear a little bit more about another aspect of your work, which is the AjQ'ij. So I was curious, could you tell us what is an AjQ'ij?
The AjQ'ij, which again, I will just say it flat out, it's K'iche Maya language, and so I butcher it sometimes, but I try my best as I'm not Mayan. But AjQ'ij is a many definitions, but it can be seen as a spiritual guide, as a keeper of the traditional calendars, the divination calendars. And so this goes hand in hand with the CholQ'ij Mayan Calendar, which is all the cosmology and teachings I've learned from my maestras in Guatemala around the foundation of the cosmovision of that the microcosmos and macrocosmos must stay in balance. And so the microcosmos is everything that we see, that we breathe. It's the plants we touch, the trees. It's everything around us. But the macrocosmos is the universe, the sun, the moon, the stars. And so when there's an imbalance between these two energies, cosmos, forces, then the earth slowly becomes in a state of imbalance. And we are definitely in that state, as generally humanity is suffering severely on our consciousness of waking up to how to tend and take care of our Mother Earth again. And that she, again, is our all-pervading first mother. And we must nourish her, honor her. And so that cosmology, that thinking, is the foundation of the AjQ'ij. It's what we're here to do. We are here to share this wisdom, to share this guidance, this way of thinking. It has a form of traditional Mayan healing within it. And at the same time, we are spiritual guides helping people come back to themselves. And so I'm just going to go straight into it because it's already part of that. Is the CholQ'ij Mayan calendar is, okay, the divination calendars. There's a lot of calendars all over the world from the indigenous tribes all over the world. And the divination calendars in Mexico and Guatemala, they had one 365-day solar calendar and one 260 lunar calendar, and they work hand in hand together. And these lunar calendars were 9 months long, based off the time of gestation, the time it takes to make life in our wombs. They're very feminine in nature, these calendars, and they help us divine the days. So it's a ritual calendar of understanding what each day is good for. And so today, for example, as we talk together, me and Sara, is the day Lahu Kame, which is the day of 10. Kame is the symbol of death. It's the symbol of our ancestors. And so today is a great day to communicate with our ancestors, our loved ones. And so this day in the calendar marks it a special day to do ceremonies or rituals to communicate with the other side. And so the calendar system works in that way, guiding us how to use that day best in a ritual manner. At the same time, the calendar is used in another way, and that is in that we're all born on a specific day and time. And so we are all born with one of these nawales, which is a day sign that I just described with Tin Kame. And so traditionally, it was the duty of the midwives to bring in the children, sharing their day sign, who they are, who they're meant to become. And if the midwife didn't know, it was the duty of the parents, the cosmic responsibility of our parents. If they were going to create life, they were needed to guide their children into understanding who they were at the moment of birth. And so my name, Xochiketzalli, is a name that is not my birth name because I did not grow up with this calendar, but it was given to me in ceremony, and it's my tonal in the Mexica calendar, the Tonapawali. And so that name is attributed to the tonali Xochitl, the last day sign in the Mexica calendar. And that name is after a deity, a feminine deity, who's here to give birth to flowers and beauty and help others discover their own path, their own inner beauty. And so being given that name, I was really able to embody my gift, my medicine of who I am and what I am to do on this earth. And so these calendars, these names are Nawal or Tonal, which whatever calendar you use, help guide us to who we are meant to be. It helps us guide us back to who we've always been destined to become.
That is amazing. It just has me thinking about how the orientation to time and how our orientation to time in the Western Gregorian calendar is so much more topical and surfacey than that. And how amazing would it be if we all were able to tune into the very core aspect of who we are, the destiny of our being in this life from the very day that we were born, if we were reflected that multiple times over through multiple people in our communities, in our families. And yeah, just incredible to reflect on that. And you know, you were talking about the communicating with the ancestors earlier, and I'm curious to hear a bit more about, in your experience and perspective, why is it important to heal by working with ancestral medicine as well?
Yeah, it's again the foundation to anyone's healing journey. And so if we do not know where we come from, how do we know where we're going to go? It's just going back to the calendar. If we don't know our Nawal in the CholQ'ij Mayan calendar, how do we know that we're on the right path? It's a guidance system. Just as our ancestry, our blood DNA is a guidance to understanding where we're coming from, to know where we're going to go to. And so this is a hardship here in the United States because so many people are mixed, so many people are displaced, so many people are in a state of in-between, Napantla, it's called in Nawat, because their family or grandparents immigrated from a different country to here. And so now they're in this place of trying to fit in to become the American, but they're also, the roots are of one ancestry, say Mexican. And so it's like they're in a place of displacement themselves, trying to become American, but honor who they are. But there's also those who are more mixed, who have their genetics, if they're able to do any DNA test, can find that they have heritage from a dozen different countries around the world. And so the path of trying to understand who you are is important to go back to that root. Go back to trying to study, learn, research about one of those bloodlines that you carry. If you are very mixed, I encourage you to go to the bloodline that calls you the most, because it's hard to be mixed, not know where to begin. And for me, I'm also Irish, and I'm very proud, because as a little girl, I was very proud to be Irish. For me, it was my Irish ancestry connected me to the little folks, the duendes, the little people, the fairies. And so, and yet I've traveled there. I went to the actual town in Northern Ireland that my ancestors are from. One of my family members did a big DNA research family tree thing, and I felt the vibration in the earth. I felt the energy of my ancestors. That place was amazing. I want to go back. And yet I have not found any Irish teachers along my path. And so I yearn for that still, because there's this calling in me. And yet I found my teachers more in the Mexica tradition, this ancestry of mine, but also in the Mayan, which is not my bloodline. Yet the teachers opened up their hearts to work with me. And they said, often what I've learned with elders is that for you to be able to come home to who you are, they open up the space to work with you, no matter your nationality. Because when we're just have that gift of working with abuelos and abuelos, with the elders of any tradition, that they know you will eventually come home to part of your ancestry by following this path of theirs.
Yeah, I really hear in that this huge encouragement and honoring of really to recognize where we come from, that there's so much to be gained from really understanding our roots and where we come from, and that the road may be a bit winding to get there, and that that's totally fine. That is also, of course, the way of nature. And I'd love to hear as well, how would you say that the plants and nature really support you in your life's work?
The plants are my friends, they're my allies, they're my helpers. I see them in my own personal dream lodge sitting there. They help to heal myself with the different physical ailments that I come across in my own body in this lifetime. And I've had several illnesses that, I meet first with Western medicine, because I find the diagnosis there in that world. And then I come back always to the plant medicine and to the spiritual work, my ancestral medicine especially. And yet I use often Western medicine alignment with the plant medicine, because they do sometimes go hand in hand very well. Yet I love working with the spirits of the plants. I am a self-studied herbalist, and I love working and making my own medicine. So my pomadas, my salves, tincturas, tinctures. I made flower essences. Now I make agua florida, flower waters. And I really enjoy working with the plants. It actually, if you go back to the CholQ'ij Mayan calendar, my Noal, my day sign, talks about how I have a gift in my hands to work with plant medicine. And so, that was reconfirming when I learned about this about 13 years ago, to understand, like, okay, I will continue working with it. So I'm being blessed to work with these plants, ability to use them. And yet I work, I want to say soft level of working with the physical healing. And yet I definitely work with the spirit of the plant. And all my limpia work and all my healing work, we burn herbs in the Mayan fire ceremonies we do. They're fires made of offerings of copal, resin, cacao, candles, to all kinds of different herbs and plants. And so these fires don't have wood in them. I mean, they have the bark of copal or rosemary, for example, but it's burning this plant life, again, as an offering, as a payment to the earth in exchange for your petition. But in that way, I feel like I work with the plant spirits a lot more than the physical remedies on how they can benefit us.
Well, Xochi, thank you so much for joining us today. And so tell us, how can people find out more about you and your work?
Thank you, Sara. It's been an honor today. It's been an honor to be able to share on this warm, sunny day. Again, I want to honor the Wiyot people, the lands that I reside on, my teachers, Nana Tomasa Nana Sebastiána and Nana Xochiketzalli. And yeah, you can find me. I got on Instagram 2 years ago, so I'm on Instagram at Spirit Medicines. I use Facebook a little. You can find me on my page under Spirit Medicines or Xochiketzalli. And my website is www.xochiketzalli.com. And this is where I really, offer most of my offerings. I work a lot with women. It's definitely my calling. When I have a man come to my class, I'm like, oh, hi. But I work with whatever gender or way you identify. But I definitely acknowledge that my work is with womb healing. And for women, our root of healing is all in the womb. We are literally created to birth and bring life into this world. And yet, for centuries, we have been told that women can only birth through physical birth of children. And yet there's many ways to give birth to our dreams. And so my 9 Moons program is my heart and baby that I offer for women for doing healing work. And so in that class series, I really help women. I'll share how to do barridas, the sweeping on yourself with the plants. And I go really deeper into curanderismo and the work on how to heal yourself through soul retrieval. But yeah, I'm here in Eureka, California. I have my folk healing center. Everyone's welcome to come. There's always ceremonies. Community ceremonies are always free. Classes are sliding scale. And the healings I do are sliding scale or donation based. So I'm really trying to make everything accessible to my community.
Well, amazing. Thank you so much, Xochiketzalli, for joining us today. Just such a delight and joy and honor to connect. And thank you for your incredible work in the world and for really listening to your call and honoring it.
It's been a privilege. Thank you, Sara.
And thanks so much for listening and joining us today on the Plant Spirit Podcast. I hope you enjoyed it, and please follow to subscribe, leave a review, and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.